while I was at the boys' camp, my mom passed away. And when she died, I had no one. I had no family, no relatives at all that wanted anything to do with little bad Dave. So I went from group home to foster home to juvenile detention again and again and again.
Welcome to Expanding Wallet, home for empowerment. We inspire greatness and help you learn skills for creating generational wealth. My name is Andrew Clarke, and I'm the founder of Expanding Wallet, and I interview people who have transformed their life. And many, including today's guest, are on a mission to help transform the lives of others. And today's guest, he is probably one of the coolest guys that you'll ever meet, and I mean that. He's an international speaker and the author of the book, Why Me? My Fight for Life, a martial arts instructor, and he served 24 years in the United States Air Force before retiring and relocating to Greece. And even though he retired from the Air Force, he has set out on a new mission, which you will find out about today. It is my honor to introduce you to one of my good friends, Mr. Dave Armstrong. Dave, how you doing today, brother? I love the energy.
I'm great. Hello, everyone out there in Andrew land, in expanding wallet land. I'm seriously appreciative of you asking me to come on. And yeah, we're going to have some fun today. A lot of learning, a lot of empathy is going to be had today. We're gonna get you to come into my place when I was a kid, and hopefully you're able to walk away from this 30, 40, 50 minutes a little bit better. Hopefully we add a little bit to your lives. So
yeah, man, this is just gonna be a great interview. And Dave, let's just jump right into it. I want you to just tell people what it is that you're working on and what do you hope to achieve?
You know what? My 2021 goal is to impact 1 million people in a positive way, right? 1 million people in a positive way. So how do I do that? I do that by doing positive stuff. And so, I wrote my book. That's something that has been able to benefit and help so many people, and it's only been a few months. I released the book in November of last year rather. So it hasn't even been a full year, and I've seen it just take off, which I'm so happy for. As you know, I just wrote 2 children's books, one in Greek and one in English, and they're coloring books. They're not like this huge deal, but what makes them so amazing is they're positive words that every child should know, coloring books. And I just felt like this was something that I needed to do because positivity needs to be spread, right? We need to make sure
Absolutely.
that we're just being positive, and through the face of, adversity and just really crappy times, because we're all going to experience a lot of bad stuff in our lives, all of us, every single one of us. But through that, how do we overcome depression? How do we overcome anxiety? How do we overcome isolation? And that's a huge thing, and we'll talk about that. The attempted suicide rate has shot up since the COVID things amongst teens by 50%.
Wow.
50% attempted suicide rates have shot up. And that's a huge deal. So we're going to talk about that. But, really, I'm on a mission to impact people in a positive way. The end.
Yeah, and I know you focus heavily on working with youth, especially and those who work with them and parents as well. So kind of tell me, what is your driving force? Like, why did you do that? You retire, you're in beautiful Greece, but you decide to go on this mission. Why is that?
Yeah, brother. Being retired at such a young age is really nice. I'm only 25 or so. I'll emphasize the or so. But I retired about 4.5 years ago, and for about 2 years, I didn't do much. I kind of hung out, went to the beach a lot, went out with friends a lot, went on vacations a lot. And although all of that was fun and it was great and I enjoyed it, there was still a piece of me missing. And that piece was the giving back piece, the interacting with people that needed to be influenced by me, or to have that aha moment from a conversation that we had. And I've been doing this for a long, long time. I actually won awards for in the military for volunteerism. I have 2 military outstanding volunteer service awards, one from, I think one's in 2000 and 2001. And so
Wow.
when you spend almost a lifetime trying to give back, trying to improve people's lives, and then you go, well, I'm going to cut all that off, even through my martial arts schools, which I own 3 martial arts schools in the States. And, when I retired, I gave up everything, which was okay. I mean, everyone wants to be able to retire and retire in Greece and live out their lives and just kind of, be debt free, since we're talking about money, right, on your program, being debt free, being, just healthy financially. And so that's a goal that every one of us would love to achieve. But when I achieved that, I was like, wow, yeah, 2 years of this is cool, but something's missing. And so that's when I said, okay, I'm going to become a life coach. Went and enrolled in a psychology program to get a psychology degree, and start hammering away at the business. Got my book done, and published that. And so I've just been on a roll. I have these mentoring and parenting summits every quarter. You know all about it.
Yeah,
And
they're amazing. I was
thank
able to be in one. So,
yeah.
yeah, it was
And
great.
so yeah, man, just, I think a lot of people, they'll find that when their why is taken away from them or missing, they're gonna feel a little empty, or a little dislocated from, I don't know, the themselves, a little
Yeah,
dislocated from themselves.
I would totally agree. I think it's a heavy, you're definitely correct too, like when that why goes away. But I also think that it's something with to do with who you are as well. And maybe a part of your childhood or something there, because even for myself, I'm not yet retired from my job, still work my job, but when COVID hit, and I remembered a statistic about how many people were living paycheck to paycheck, and it was near 50%. And then that number was getting worse and worse every year. And then COVID hits. And to your point, suicide goes up. And so I'm like thinking, wow, people are giving up hope now. It's not just the living paycheck to paycheck. And that inspired me to start expanding Wallet. Because when I reflect back on my life, the struggles, the obstacles I overcame, I'm like, I'm built to help, right? And so I then take on starting expanding Wallet to share my knowledge, share my experiences, and then, share my network. So that's why I do these interviews, because there's so much more to life than just money, right? And so I want to inspire people as well to find that fulfillment, and then I can teach you skills. How do you get there, from the money aspect financially?
Yeah.
So this is why I do this. And, you're always like an inspiration for me as well. So just, being around you and some of the other folks that I'm around, really inspire me to keep going and to work as hard as I do. So, again, just a blessing to be able to share, your story with the Expanding Wallet community. And I want to dive in a little bit more now, Dave. Let's dive really into your life story, right? Your book is an autobiography of your upbringing. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. I felt like I needed to write this book to keep others from experiencing the things that I went through. And so I'll summarize a little bit of my early childhood, my mid childhood, and then my emerging adult life. So my early childhood, my first arrest was for armed robbery when I was 11 years old. I grew up in gangs. I grew up selling drugs. I mean, I just grew up in a bad environment. My mom kind of was just not in the picture, and my stepdad used to beat me and my mom all the time. And so I was sentenced to a boys camp for 2 years. And while I was at the boys camp, my mom passed away. And when she died, I had no one. I had no family, no relatives at all that wanted anything to do with little bad Dave. So I went from group home to foster home to juvenile detention again and again and again, all throughout California until I turned 18. And so when I was at one of the boys' homes, I met my first mentor, and I'm huge. That's why I do what I do. I mentor and I help parents and teens. And I met my first mentor, Sensei Otto Johnson. He was a martial artist, 6'10", 300 something pounds, a huge guy. No, 250 pounds. I think he was like 240 something pounds. Big guy.
Wow.
Big guy, and fast as lightning. And Sensei Otto had one of these little martial arts programs with the kids that were in the boys' home that were doing good, right? Well, I certainly wasn't doing good. I would do whatever Dave wanted to do. I was running around. I didn't care. I was very manipulative. I knew the game. I wasn't a stupid kid. So, you know, you run away from the group home, the cops catch you. They either put you in juvenile hall for a few days until they find another group home, or they take you back to the group home. I didn't care. It didn't mean anything to me. Well, Sensei Otto one day was standing in front of the door, and I said, I'm going to leave. I'm going. And he says, no, you're not. I said, yeah, cuz I am, and you're not going to do anything about it. And I knew that staff couldn't touch you, right? They can't beat you up or something. So I wasn't scared of him. He was huge. I should have been scared of him, but I wasn't scared of him because I knew he wasn't going to beat my butt, right? He wasn't going to hit me. So I was like, yeah, I am going to leave. And I don't know what it was that day that compelled me to touch him. So I try to push him, this huge guy, out from in front of the door. Well, I knew you couldn't touch staff. So the two things you can't do is assault or touch staff, because they can touch you back, right? And so if a 250 pound, 6'10" martial artist touches me back, well, guess what? And so, yeah. And so you couldn't touch staff, and you couldn't touch the other residents, and you couldn't do harm to yourself. So long as you weren't doing those three things, you could leave and they couldn't do anything about it. Why I decided to touch him, I have no idea. It was destiny. So I tried to move him out the way. He just grabbed me and so put me in my room. And I remember waking up, or I don't know if he choked me completely out, or if I was just so crazy and you know, I lost control and kind of blacked out. But when I came to, I was like, cuz we gonna get you. All me and my homies, we gonna light you up, man. Cuz you don't even know who you messing with. You messing with D-Dog right here. D-Dog. I mean, I'm like 14, 15 years old. You know, the kind of crap I was talking. But so after I calmed down, I start thinking, man, what was that thing he did, right? How did he do that? And I fought all the time. I said, man, if I could do this little karate thing that he's doing with these kids, maybe I'll be able to wrap these guys up out on the street.
Right.
All right. So I started trying to be good, you know, so I could interact with Sensei Otto and this martial arts mentoring program that he was doing. It was just a karate program, but I didn't realize it was truly mentoring, right? He was really mentoring these kids. and giving them a why, giving them self-esteem and discipline, right? I had no idea. And so he was instilling all of that with these kids. And then in turn, when I started doing that with them, instilling all of those qualities, those traits into me. And then
Wow.
before I knew it, I didn't even want to go fight. I was disciplined. Like I had self-confidence. I all of this stuff started happening and I was good at it. And then we'd start going to tournaments. And then for the first time in my life, I was winning at something.
Wow. That's powerful.
Wow.
That part's powerful.
First time in my life. And so imagine how many kids don't even know what winning feels like.
Right.
They've never been subjected to winning in their lives. 14, 15,
Right.
16, 17, 20, 25, 40 have never won.
And it's a struggle too, because if you're in your situation too, you were just at times just trying to make it, just trying to just fill your basic needs at times. And I mean, there was also that gap of, love, right?
Yeah. Well, love
that
was
a big thing too.
Love was a void to me. I didn't know what love was. I mean, I was in and out of foster homes and group homes, and people would say like, Dave, I care about you. I love you. I want to see you succeed. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? What my mom didn't love me. My stepdad beat me. Why? What are you talking about? What is this love crap? No, you don't love me. You don't even know me. And so
why do you say that your mom didn't love you? Sorry to interrupt.
Because she was never around. She was always drunk. And then as a child, you feel abandoned, even though my mom died from a brain tumor and it had nothing to do with me. She still abandoned me. And so I felt alone, and I was alone. I didn't, there was, in the ghetto, in the hood, we don't write wills. You don't know what a will is. Who's supposed to take care of Dave when I pass on? That doesn't exist in the hood. And so there was nobody and nothing for me. When she passed, I felt like she just abandoned me. And how could she do that? Not that she was a good parent before that. Unfortunately, she wasn't. But yeah, that's reality, and that's how I felt.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. Mm-hmm. So now you're working with Sensei Otto, right? Am I saying that right?
Yep.
And so you're working with him, and now you have discipline. And I think that was so important when you said that word, because honestly, success takes discipline. Especially nowadays, I feel like there's so many easy ways to be distracted, especially by, cell phones, right? And so the fact is that you now develop this sense of discipline. And then what happens from there? How do you eventually, now you're winning, so you feel that you get that experience of winning, and then how do you transition to like the Army or the Air Force?
Yeah, so the third phase is my emerging adulthood. So after I joined the Air Force, which was a challenge in and of itself, because I wasn't really going to school a lot. I couldn't read and write very well. And so to get into the Air Force, you have to take something called the Armed Services Vocational Battery Test, the ASVAB. And this is just a general test for all branches of the military. But the Air Force, you have to score higher on the ASVAB to get in than the other branches. Well, so I wanted to join the Air Force because I had another mentor. So the two people that profoundly, and they're in the book, profoundly impacted my life and changed the trajectory of my life were Sensei Otto and Ron Barnick. Ron was a guardian ad litem, a CASA, and a guardian ad litem is appointed by the court to kind of be a big brother. But they talk to you, they interact with you, they do stuff with you, and then they report back to the court or to CASA, the CASA director, and they go, hey, you know what, Dave probably should be removed from this boys' home. There's 3 blood gang members in this boys' home that you guys put him in, and he's a Crip, and that's probably, and that's a real life event. They put me in, they put a blood into the boys' home that I was already in, and we fought all the time because I was a crib. And so Ron Barnick was a pilot in the Air Force, and Ron would bring me over his house and show me trinkets from all over the world. Stuff from Japan, stuff from Italy, stuff from China, stuff from, Brazil, South America. And I was so intrigued by the fact that there was a world outside of this little bubble that I lived in. There was a world out there. And so he had this globe and it spun. And I would go over to his house and spin the globe and stop it somewhere. And 70% of the time it would stop on water. That's a joke. For those of us that didn't get that, 70% of the world is water. So, but no, it would stop somewhere. And my goodness, I'd be like, what is this here? Show me something from this place. And it was amazing to me. And so that inspired me to join the Air Force. So his interaction with me, his mentoring, his life inspired me to join the Air Force, where I served 24 years, but it didn't come without a cost. I took the ASVAB and I didn't score high enough. So what was I supposed to do? Join the Army, join the Marines? Well, that was second best to me. Not that they are second best, but that's the second choice. And I never wanted second. I never settled. For some reason, intrinsically, I just wasn't that person. I wanted to win. I wanted my way. I wanted what I wanted, right? And so I wasn't willing to settle. So I had to wait 3 or 6 months. I think it was 3 or 6 months. I had to wait to retest. So I was homeless. I was sleeping in a trailer in the back of my girlfriend's huge field. Her parents let me, my girlfriend at the time, her parents let me stay in this trailer and a little camper out there. And that's where I slept with the mice and rats and roaches and everything else. But I had to wait to retest and I didn't want to settle. And I studied every single day. And I worked the hardest job. I have the utmost respect for people that work HVAC. I got a job working HVAC. I had to keep away from my homies because I knew I couldn't be around weed. I couldn't get hemmed up or caught up with, any drugs or anything bad. So otherwise I couldn't join the Air Force. So I had to stay away from them. I got a job working HVAC where I was doing this all day. My neck hurt all the time. I said, man, I don't want to do this. This is not what I want to do for a living, and retested, joined the Air Force. But even after I joined, it was a struggle because you still have those traits that you grew up with. And you got to break those habits. You got to break out of that mentality. I was still violent. I was still angry, I had a wife that we would physically, we both grew up in the hood, we would fight physically, right? And that wasn't healthy around my 2 kids, right? But eventually I was able to grow and I was able to change and really see the person that I wanted to become. And that came to fruition.
Yeah. Wow. That was really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And there's so many things that as you were speaking, I'm just thinking of the thing about habits, in your past. And it's so powerful, the fact that you grew up in like an abusive home, seeing parents fight. And we hear this all the time, right? How it like repeats. And it really does take a lot of self-reflection to be able to make that change. And it doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't. And so it's really powerful, your story. I think that's why your book, I read that book and I just thought that book was amazing. And I read a lot of books, Dave, and I don't know if I told you this, I put your book in my top 10.
Really?
In my top 10.
Top 10.
Yeah. I mean, it was an amazing book. No, and I mean it. I mean, the book is amazing. By far top 10. And I say that because of a lot of it is just the transparency, the authenticity, And then for me, there's so much in your book that I stopped and I told you that, you know, I reflect back on so many areas of my life, and maybe not the exact same experiences, but the feelings, right?
Okay.
And so that's why I just say, like, this book is amazing. And then the way you wrote it, Dave, the cool part is, because I know you, I felt like as I was reading it, it was like you were just telling me the story, just like you're talking to me now.
Yeah.
You don't always get that. And so just an amazing book. And you did it in a concise manner too. It wasn't a huge book either. It's concise. And we know as speakers, right, the best speakers take the fewest words farthest. Well, same thing for writers. So amazing. So I recommend that book for anyone. I mean, any adult, any adult, you know, youth, because you give people hope, Dave. And that's the big thing, right?
And I
Giving people
appreciate,
hope.
brother, I appreciate that. Yeah. For anyone that's listening, watching, that's the book there. Why Me? My Fight for Life. Not that I'm trying to plug
Where
the
can they
book.
get it?
Amazon anywhere in the world. If they want an autographed copy, they can send me a message at info@upna.net, info@upna.net, and I'll send them an autographed copy with a postcard from Greece.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
I still haven't received mine yet, Dave.
I just got a new shipment in the mail.
All right,
but
we'll talk about that after. But I will put the link. I will put those links in the description below, so you can definitely find them in the description. But yeah, amazing book. I can't say enough great things about it.
I appreciate that, man. I really, my hope is that people read it and they're inspired to do something. You know, I don't want it to be a read, put on a shelf, and then your life is just the same. I don't need the royalties from the book. I want you to actually read it and get something from the book. And even if it doesn't apply to you in your own life, but it gets you to go out and volunteer your time with kids, or find a why that's intrinsic to go and do, right? Volunteer your time at a soup kitchen or with the homeless or something. But, you know, people that are in good places should look back and go, you know what, I can give.
Exactly.
And not just in money, your time, your experience, your conversation can really change lives. You know, you can go to a soup kitchen to pour soup, and then sit down with someone that's homeless and have a conversation with him or her and change everything about that person in that conversation. It's just
right. You're not, and that's so powerful right there, because when you do that, you're not just filling up their stomach, you're filling up their spirit. Yeah. And that's powerful.
It is.
And I mean, that's powerful.
It absolutely is. So from the person that, you know, from the kid that is in a group home or a foster home or juvenile detention, I want to get this book to every juvenile detention center and every foster home in the United States. I want this to be part of just, you know, when you get locked up, you're handed this book. That's what I want to see. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know that. I don't know how that's going to happen. But I got to have this happen, because I think that there's a lot of kids that will not get locked up again once they read this. And the truth is, if every state invested $10,000 and bought $10,000 worth of this book and handed it out to every kid that was locked up, they would get their money times 5 back in the first year. Because I know at least one kid, it costs 50 grand to lock a kid up, right? At least one kid, or keep a kid in foster care, at least one kid is going to go, you know what? I can do that. This guy is living, or has lived, what I am living. So why can't why can't I? There's some powerful words in this book. And so I want I want kids to read this and go, why can't I? And if I could get states, I'm trying to contact governors as well as mayors of different cities right now, and I'm trying to get them to go, hey Dave, I want you to come speak here, and I'm trying to get them to buy this for kids that need it, and you know what, the state wins. The state wins. There's no way, I guarantee it, I guarantee my everything, my life, on the fact that there's no way that out of 100 kids that read this, one doesn't change the trajectory of his or her life. There's no way. I believe that.
Yeah,
strongly.
I believe that too. I believe that too. And hopefully, some people watch this interview and if you can connect Dave to someone, definitely, shoot him a message, because I do believe in the power of a story, a power that will give them hope and possibility. And so your book definitely accomplishes that. And I am completely with you on everything that you said, especially when you say you're not doing this for people to just to say, hey, that's a great book. You want some action taken, some life changes. This is why I do Expanding Wild. This is why I do the interviews I do, because I know how powerful this is. And I want action too. I don't really care for you just to gain knowledge, but not really to apply it. I don't care for you to be inspired, but not to make a change in the world. And I've talked about this too, is that at 15, I was reading books about people who transformed their lives, successful people, and not just financially successful, but world leaders, people like Gandhi. I read his autobiography, and it's weird, right? I didn't like history, but I loved to read autobiographies to hear from the people, right? To get into their mind, understand how they viewed the world at that time. And some of the things that I learned were just amazing. And one of the key things, and for anybody listening right now, this is so important, that many of the greatest leaders were never elected. Instead, they chose to rise up to support a great cause. So people like Dave, I mean, this is what you did, Dave. You literally had the opportunity to just, disappear and just enjoy, everything you're doing, but you chose to go back to school. I mean, that's powerful. You chose to go back to school, get your psychology degree.
Not just that, I was on the dean's list too.
Oh yeah, well,
I made the dean's list, bro.
Hey, congratulations, Dave. And I'm big on purpose and a strong why, because you need that, man. You need that to change. It's so important. And I know how hard school can be. Struggled with it when I was young, and eventually, things worked out. The right people came in my life, but school can be very difficult. And so it is important to have, whatever you're doing, have that strong why to get you through those tough times. You do an HVAC, right? I know that's not an easy job, right? But you knew you needed to do it to get to a certain point, and we grow with our challenges. We grow with those challenges. So
I agree.
Man, Dave, I want to talk about one more thing that I know you got out there. You have a course right now, an online course that people can take.
I have several courses that are for parents, mentors, to connect with their youth, with their teens. I have goal setting courses. I just finished up today a course on listening, how to get your teen to listen to you. All right. And I get pretty deep in these courses, and they work. So if you're interested in them, go to go.upna.net and check them out. Go.upna.net. If you want the goal setting one in particular, it's go.upna.net/goals. I think they're great courses. They sell consistently. People are very happy with them. I get a lot of feedback from them. I feel lucky to be able to have all of this knowledge. I combine the life experience, which is invaluable, but I combine that with psychology, right? And with years of working with teens. I had my own mentoring program for at-risk youth. I was the vice president of the board of directors for a nonprofit. I ran martial arts schools for years and years and years. So I have a lot of experience working with youth. So I combine all of that stuff and I sit down and I knock out these courses. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them because I know that they're making a difference. I get the feedback every month, every week. I get feedback how these courses are changing people's lives or giving them those aha moments, you know, and you go, wow, aha, I never thought about that. I can do this. You know, this is how I can create intrinsic value or motivation or, you know, I talk about having standards and being flexible in your own home, but also understanding that your teen is his or her own person that are going to have his or her own standards. So how do you try to influence their standards? Because a lot of parents don't do that. They don't try to influence, they try to push their own standards, their own values, their own morals onto their teens or the teens that they're working with. So how do you shift that mindset and get your teen to adapt some healthy values and morals and standards instead of trying to push that onto them? So that's just one of the several courses that I have out there that are making a difference.
Yeah, no, those courses are definitely needed. I know a lot of people struggle with goals, especially, but everything that you talked about is, you know, you got to be your own person. I think too, I was actually speaking with someone on this, and one thing I think that's really important is for you, especially as you're younger in your teen years, to really try things, and for parents to really you know, motivate you to put you in different things. Because even your story, imagine if you didn't get into martial arts. I mean, and you were good at it, you're great at it, right? So it's just so important to try things, because what I found is that actually helps you know yourself, right? Absolutely. It helps you to understand yourself, know your likes, your dislikes. And that is so powerful in life, because now it'll give you some directionality.
Yep.
And now
Absolutely.
you can move in that direction. So so good, Dave. I want to just ask you one last thing. You know, what message do you want to leave with for someone who is struggling? Maybe they are in juvenile detention. Maybe, you know, that they're not in juvenile detention, but they're not in a good place right now, and they're a youth right now.
What message do I want to leave for a young man or a young woman? And I just want to say this message can transcend to almost any young person out there. Your parents may not understand you. Your friends may not understand you. You may not even understand you. But you matter. You matter in this world. You matter to other people, even when you don't feel like they think you matter. You do matter to them, even though they don't tell you. I try to encourage parents and mentors to tell these teens that they mean something in their lives, but we don't always do a good job of doing that. But you do matter. And what you have to bring to this universe, this world, your bubble matters. And I want you to understand that giving up is not an option. We were just talking about this. 50% rocketed attempted suicide rate since COVID hit. So, and this is more prevalent amongst young girls. Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but you know, when you start looking at every Instagram model, every filter under the sun to make you look totally different, everyone has the perfect body and the perfect life. No one comes on and talks about how imperfect their life is. Everyone talks about how perfect their life is. Nobody talks about the fact that they They were on the way to the Maldives and the flight got canceled, or they had the worst flight ever because of turbulence, and then they landed and they were jet lagged, and nobody talks about that. They talk about, I'm at the best place on earth, Maldives, and that's what you see, right? And you see the perfect face and the perfect body. But young ladies, I'm telling you, they're not showing you reality, and others' lives are just as bad as the way you feel. And the reason why you feel like you need to give up, that you don't want to be on this planet, is because you're comparing your life to something that is not real. No one is going to show you their real life on Instagram, on TikTok. The end. They're not showing you real. So don't compare yourself to something that doesn't even exist. You matter. What you have to contribute to this world matters. It doesn't matter what your body looks like, what your face looks like. All that matters is what's between these ears. That's what I have to say.
Wow, that was a powerful message, Dave. So true. So true. Yeah, we can't judge ourselves based off of what we see on social media, because many people are not putting up what they really feel inside. And so, and I think that's so true too, not to look for validation from social media or from other people. You got to find that validation for yourself. So, with that, I want to do one thing, Dave. As a special gift for you just being on, I got something for you, man. I got an Expanding Wallet t-shirt for you.
Okay.
I don't know if you
learn, believe, grow. I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah. Oh,
I'll pay for the shipping. I'll pay for the shipping to Greece.
I got that one. Don't even worry about it.
Or you got to bring it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Yeah, I might actually bring it and get my signed book. We're gonna do an exchange. I think that's what we'll do. I'll fly over, we'll do an exchange. All right. I think that actually sounds pretty good to me.
It sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna have to check out those nice beaches. Now, Dave does post some nice pictures too.
Yeah, guys, go follow me on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. I post a lot of motivational stuff, a lot of videos, and if you look for Sensei Dave Armstrong or Unlimited Potential Network, you'll see, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm growing my TikTok right now, and I try to post motivational stuff, but some really cool photos of the beach and of Greece and different trips that I take and stuff. So sorry, I cut you off a little bit.
No. It's totally fine. And I'll make sure that I put those social media profile links in the description too. And I will say that one thing is, I do think it's important to show people the rest of the world and what it looks like, because that's something else to strive for. I think travel is so important, and it gives you so much perspective. And I'm not just talking about traveling to the most beautiful places in the world. No, go to some places that aren't, see how people are living.
I gotta quickly tell you what profoundly impacted my mental state and what I thought of the world. I know I'm only 25-ish, but back in 1997, I got the opportunity to travel to Bangladesh with the Air Force. And the level of poverty that you see in a third world country is unbelievable. Unbelievable to see kids and families sleeping on the street with cows. You're considered lucky if you have a straw hut.
Wow.
That blew my mind. I didn't see things the same after I went to Bangladesh. Blew my mind. So absolutely travel to places that are beautiful, but that are a little bit off the beaten trail. Be careful about that. There's some dangerous places to travel to, but traveling can definitely just open up a different perspective, just a totally different perspective in your mind.
And with that, I'm just going to close with, Remember to learn all that you can, believe in yourself, and take actions that allow you to grow.